Hello and welcome to Nerdy and Flirty, a podcast designed to help you create a life that you love. My name is Cass. Welcome back. I'm so happy to be here and to be talking with you. I have a great episode planned for today because today we are talking all about food. So I hope that you're hungry because we are going to be talking about how to create a meal plan and actually stick to it. So if you didn't know, I have an ebook all about this topic. This is a topic that I'm very, very passionate about because it's something that everyone struggles with to some degree. Anyone I talk to has questions about nutrition, even nutrition coaches and personal trainers. Like that is what even prompted me to get my nutrition cert to begin with because I had questions myself. When I was working full-time as a trainer, I had questions that even I didn't know the answers to that I saw a lot of my clients also struggling with. And rightfully so, we go on social media and see conflicting information every single day. One person saying eggs are bad, another person is saying eggs have a lot of nutrients in them. Like anything can be debated on something good or bad. I even saw like spinach is bad and kale is bad and all these things. Like it's hard to know what to believe. So that's what even inspired me to get my nutrition cert to begin with. And then while I was getting my nutrition cert, I was struggling myself with creating a meal plan or a menu that I could stick to. I would see on social media all about meal prepping and cooking these extravagant meals all day on Sunday to eat the same thing all week, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, with the matching glass containers all stacked up beautifully in the refrigerator. And while that looks amazing, that never worked for me. I have tried it a million times, not actually a million, but I've tried it a lot. And every single time, no matter what I make, it never worked for me. By Wednesday, I didn't want to eat the same food anymore. It's old food. Like I just did not like it. And you spend all day Sunday making all this food just to not eat it by Wednesday. Like that to me just did not work. I didn't want to cook all day on Sunday. I didn't want to eat the same thing for 5 days straight, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like I didn't like to do that. And I know I'm not the only one. And I do just want to say if that works for you, that's great. And you're honestly lucky because you only cook once a week. That's great. But for me, that just did not work. So I started experimenting because of this, because I was dedicated to the mission to figure out how can I create a meal plan that I actually like? How can I create something realistic, something simple, but something effective that I can do week after week after week and still feel excited about it, eat my food, don't waste groceries. Like all of those things were problems that I was having that I wanted to find a solution for. And that is exactly what I did. Once I figured that out, I started sharing it with my clients. And once they applied it in their lives, I started to realize like, okay, this actually works. This isn't just a fluke. This isn't something that worked for me and no one else. Like this actually works. And the reason this actually works is because it's customized for the person doing it. Throughout this episode, I want you to listen and apply it to your lifestyle. So that actually leads me to my first point, and that is that this is a guide and nutrition is different for every single person. It's hard to say like here's an exact meal plan, exact foods that you need to eat to see X, Y, and Z results because what works for one person might not work for someone else. Just like workouts, the best diet is the one that you can actually stick to. So if you're seeing diets online that require you to drink juice every single day, if you can't do that forever, you probably shouldn't be doing it right now. Any gimmick, anything restrictive is not going to be sustainable long term. And that is a big thing that I like to clear up right off the bat because while those might help you lose a little bit of water weight right away, they're not going to be sustainable long term. So if you can't follow it forever, it's probably not the right diet for you. What I'm going to share with you should be something that you can stick to forever. And that's why this process worked for me. That's why it's worked for my clients. That's why this process that I'm going to share actually works. So what I do is I create a menu every single week. I do this on Sunday. But if your weeks are different, if you work the weekends or you work different days, like pick a day that you're off that you can do this. Don't do this just on Sunday just because it looks good for your Instagram, right? Pick a day that's realistic and create a menu for the week. I do this every week and I take into account any events I have coming up, anything where I might want to get takeout, like all of this I put into my menu. And I get really, really realistic with myself. I treat myself like a child during this process. And don't worry, we're going to get into how to actually write the menu, like what to write in it, how to figure out what you should be planning and everything. But just know I oversimplify everything. This plan should not feel restrictive. It should provide structure in your life. So if you're feeling like you're overwhelmed or like suffocated by this plan and feeling like I need to stick to my menu because someone's going to get mad at me, then you're doing it wrong. It should provide you structure. It should take weight off your shoulders, not the opposite, okay? And on my website, I'll have a free download link so that you can download my weekly meal plan template. I love it. I think it's so cute. It has everything on there, grocery list, all of that. So go check out my website, casscamp.co, and you can download that. But also a regular piece of paper works as well. I do that sometimes when I don't have any printed out. You don't need anything fancy. Just take time to be intentional and figure this out. Okay, so now comes the fun part, which is actually writing the menu. So I already said that you need to be realistic with yourself about going out to eat, getting takeout, things like that. If there is a day that you know that you're going to get takeout or you know you're going to go out to eat, start with that. Write it out. Like Friday or Saturday, I usually go out to eat for one meal. Write it out. There's nothing wrong with that. Put it in there. I find that when I have something like that planned, it makes me more consistent the other days because I know that I'm going out to eat coming up, if that makes sense. Like on Monday, I'm not going to be as inclined to want to order takeout because I know that I'm going out to eat on Friday. So be intentional about when you're going out to eat. Put it in your menu. There's nothing wrong with it. Just being intentional about it is a good thing. The thing in my life that I wanted to change was I don't want to get takeout just for the sake of not having any food in my fridge. I want to get takeout when it's fun and I'm looking forward to it and it's something fun to do, not just because I don't feel like cooking or I wasn't planning properly or I have no groceries in my fridge. I like to be intentional about things like that. Once you have that figured out, now we can start putting recipes together. So I taught myself how to cook. I never really learned how to cook growing up until I moved out for the first time in college and I had to start learning how to cook. Learning to cook, especially if you're just cooking for yourself, is a journey. It's tough sometimes. It's hard. No one really tells you how to do it. So I recommend figuring out a way to make it fun for yourself, number one. Make it a hobby. Make it something you're excited to learn how to do. Like, we have to eat, so we might as well make it fun, you know? And when it comes to creating a menu you're actually going to stick to, I have 3 types of recipes that I recommend putting into your menu each week. The first type of recipe is what I call easy meals. A big mistake that people make when they're making their weekly menu is being too ambitious with predicting the amount of time, energy that they're going to have to cook. The reality is for most people, when you get home from work, you don't want to cook a big extravagant meal every single day. That's just not realistic. I know for me, I don't want to do that every single day after a long day of work. So the bulk of your menu should consist of easy meals. Easy meals are meals that you find easy to make. Not what Instagram says is easy, not what I say is easy. It's what you find easy to make. So maybe if you don't really cook, that might be throwing together a salad. That might be making a sandwich. Like, figure out what you find very easy to make and put those ideas on your menu. These are meals that you can make confidently, effortlessly, and you know that you're going to be able to make them because they are simple, they're fast, you don't have to overthink it. They're just something to put together at the end of the night. This will reduce a lot of the barriers when it comes to sticking to your meal plan because the bulk of your meal plan is relatively easy for you. So the next set of meals is fun meals. These are the fun part because this is where you get to experiment for the week. Your fun meals are the complete opposite of the easy meals. These are the more complicated, more impressive, more challenging meals to make. These are the ones that you find on Pinterest or the ones that someone shares with you. These should only be about 1 to 2 meals in your menu. Unless you have tons of time and tons of energy throughout the week, this should only be a little part of your menu because they take the most time, because you're not as quick with them, you're not as effortless with them. But these are fun because these are the meals that you find exciting. It's important to have at least one of these because this keeps cooking exciting. This keeps the meal plan fun and a hobby rather than just like, oh, something I have to do. These are also important because these eventually become easy meals. So when I was teaching myself how to cook, I didn't know how to make a lot of things, but every week I added a new thing, and until I perfected it, now I have this big repertoire of meals that I find easy that started out being fun meals, right? Each week the idea is that you get to add one of these fun meals into your repertoire so that in a few weeks, a few months, instead of just eating the same thing every day, you have all these recipes that are very easy for you to make that you learned and you taught yourself and you perfected. For me, I usually experiment with these on Sunday because I have more time on Sunday. Sunday is like a reset day, getting ready for the week. So I like to make something fun, something to start my week off strong, something new, something that I'm excited about. That just keeps cooking fun for me, and it keeps me excited about it because it does feel like a chore sometimes, and you want to try to reduce that as much as possible to keep you sticking to your meal plan. In my ebook, I have a ton of recipes, and when you're starting out, those might be considered fun meals, and eventually they'll become easy meals. Like for me now, those are very easy meals that I can make off the top of my hat, just like simple, quick, not knowing what to make, I make one of those. And then the third type of recipe is going to be your backup meals. We all have days where our week goes completely unexpected. You're tired, you get home late, you ran out of groceries, my chicken went bad the other day. So it's important to have backup meals that you can make anytime, any day, whatever happens, you have your backup meals to account for those unexpected situations. So you're not just defaulting to takeout. Think of at least 2 or 3 backup meals that you have the ingredients for all the time for when these situations happen, because they do happen. For me, one of my backup meals is tacos because they are just so easy, and ground beef can be in the freezer and you can cook it directly from the freezer. You don't need to thaw it. You don't need to worry about anything. I love making tacos as a backup meal, and I usually make them like at least once every 2 weeks because stuff just happens. Like you need to have backup meals. But for you, a backup meal might be peanut butter and jelly. There is nothing wrong with that. It's just to help you get out of the routine of just getting takeout or stopping somewhere, getting fast food, whatever it is. It's to help you stay in this routine of cooking every single night except for the intentional takeout days. Your backup meals don't have to be glamorous. They don't have to be impressive. No one has to know about them. They're just for you to stay in this routine. So with all these recipes, you'll figure out your plan. You'll write it out. But writing the plan out, it's the easy part. The hard part is sticking to it. So there are a couple tips I have when it comes to sticking to a meal plan that need to happen for you to actually be able to stick to it. The first thing is starting with 1. Setting up a plan that is too rigid or too different from your current routine is going to set you up for failure. Instead of trying to just completely change your life in one day, completely different than yesterday, start with 1 meal, 1 recipe, 1 focus for 1 week. And then keep practicing that one thing until you perfect it, and then move on to the next thing. You want to keep your momentum high and make yourself feel accomplished during this process rather than putting yourself down because you didn't completely change your life in one day. Habit building takes time. Lifestyle change takes time. So it's important to be realistic with yourself and start with just one thing to build that momentum and then keep it going. For example, if you're consistently getting takeout all the time, especially for dinner, make that your focus for the first week. Set a goal to only focus on dinner for the entire week. At this point, it does not matter what you eat for breakfast, lunch, snacks. Don't even think about it. Focus only on dinner. And keep doing that until you feel satisfied with where you're at in that process. Once you get better at dinner and you lower your takeout and you reach your goal, then you can focus on breakfast. Then you can focus on lunch. Then you can do your snacks. The point is to focus on one thing, perfect it, and then move on to the next, rather than trying to just completely change everything all at once and then feel bad about yourself and completely give up. We want to reduce that as much as possible. The next thing is probably the most important part when it comes to sticking to your meal plan, and that is groceries. Getting groceries has to be a non-negotiable in your routine. It does not matter how much planning and preparation you do. If you don't have your groceries, it will never, ever happen, okay? What I like to do is I dedicate one day each week that is the most realistic for me to get groceries. And then I stick to it and I make sure that I do it, because if I don't do it, the rest of my week is set up for failure. For me, I usually get my groceries on Monday after work because I'm already out. It just forces me to stop and get them. But sometimes, like if I have to do something after work on Mondays, I'll go on Sunday. The point is I always make sure I get them no matter how, no matter when, no matter where, okay? There is nothing wrong with using delivery services, curbside pickup, Instacart, anything like that. Especially if you're busy, utilize your tools that you have available to you and figure out a way to get your groceries. It does not matter how, figure out a way to get them. I know that there are fees for some of the delivery services, but that is always cheaper than getting takeout every single day. So if that's the way you have to do it for a while, that's the way you should do it. There is nothing wrong with it. There's amazing tools out there now, so use them, but make sure you get your groceries because these are crucial in your meal plan routine. And then lastly is being realistic and being flexible with yourself. If you find that you're constantly in a cycle of starting a plan and failing at it, it's probably because the plan was never achievable in the first place. It's important to be realistic with yourself and set small, attainable goals that you can actually achieve and get in the habit of achieving them consistently, because that is going to give you the momentum. This menu is not supposed to be something that you feel bad if you don't achieve. It's just supposed to provide that structure that you might have been missing before. Trust me, I would love it if I followed my menu perfectly every single week, but that's just not ideal in my day-to-day. And there are times where spontaneously a friend invites me out to dinner, or I get invited to go do something, or I just don't cook what I have on my menu, and that's okay. The point is that the menu gives you the structure for the 80% of your week so that your 20% is intentional and fun and exciting, rather than just like, I have nothing to eat, so I'm going to order takeout every single day. So those are my tips when it comes to creating a menu that you will actually stick to. I hope that these helped. I hope that this gave you something that you maybe never heard before or put something into a different perspective. Definitely let me know what you thought about it. Also, definitely go to my website and get the meal plan template because I love it. I use it every week. It's so fun and I made it myself. But yeah, let me know how this works out for you. Let me know if you try anything. Thank you to everyone who's purchased the ebook. That's really sweet and means a lot to me. I seriously love doing this. Like, it is so fun just coming on here and talking about topics that I'm really passionate about. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. I hope you have a great weekend, great week, great day, great everything. And I will talk to you next week. Bye.